We've been talking about the stories on your social media feeds, but going past the headlines. In just 4 years, our next guest has become an internet sensation, building what the Hollywood Reporter calls a true crime empire. Former Navy SEAL John Allen is known to his more than 9 million subscribers as Mr. Ballin. His podcast, Mr. Ballin Podcast, Strange, Dark, and Mysterious Stories, has blown up. Vogue magazine says his no-holds-barred style will get you hooked in 30 seconds. Take a look.
In 2013, a Canadian college student was traveling alone through California when she decided to spend the night in a notoriously sketchy hotel in Los Angeles. When she didn't check in with her family that night, they actually called the police, and the police discovered that she was missing. And then the hotel released some insane footage of her in an elevator. As soon as she steps into the elevator, she presses all the buttons and then starts hiding in the corner, and then starts poking her head out of the elevator into the hall over and over again, as if looking for someone that was chasing her, but there's nobody in the hall. Then, inexplicably, she stands right in the threshold of the elevator and starts flashing her hands around like crazy and then runs away, and it's the last anybody sees her alive. It wasn't until a few weeks later, when residents of the hotel noticed a foul taste in their water, that they discovered her body floating in the water tanks on the roof. They ruled her death an accident, but that means she would have had to get onto a locked roof, climb a 10-foot-high water tank without a ladder, open a heavy lid, and wriggle inside the tank on her own.
Are you hooked? 30 seconds
Are you in? 30 seconds in. Well, now he's got a graphic novel. Mr. Ballin presents Strange, Dark, and Mysterious. It's already #1 bestseller on Amazon's new releases. Please welcome John Allen, Mr. Ballin, to our show.
Thank you. Thank you.
We were just talking a little bit. For 6 seasons, I did a crime show called Deadline Crime. I had to take a break from it because at the time I was pregnant, and I said, I can't do this for a living. That said, you do it in a really powerful way where you're not exploiting, you're not glamorizing, you're illuminating these things that are all around us. So I ask you, you could be doing anything in your life.
Yeah.
Why this? Because this kind of stuff keeps you up at night.
I know. Well, thank you, first of all, for your kind words. You know, honestly, I fell backwards into this. I was a Navy SEAL for 7 years. I was medically retired following an injury in Afghanistan. And for a couple of years, I sort of bounced around, I didn't really have a place, didn't have a career. But at the same time, I was sort of looking at social media as this just wild west where like all these people, or it seemed this way to me, were just like going viral and like building brands around it. And so briefly, I tried to be a content creator by like mimicking other people's content that did well, like sketch comedy and like dancing videos, all of which failed.
So you were doing a little, okay.
So bad.
That's a big transition.
Big transition.
So you go from a Navy SEAL doing TikTok dances.
It didn't go over well with my former teammates.
But
no,
you leaned on what you knew because you grew up in a home where storytelling was a big deal. Your mom, I believe, one of your parents, Pulitzer Prize winning.
My father, Scott Allen, is a Pulitzer Prize winning journalist from the Boston Globe. My sister, Evan Allen, also a Pulitzer Prize winner. My mom is a professional writer and helped write our podcast.
So you grew up around not only, good writers, but award-winning great writers.
Oh, yeah.
And you did not graduate, as I understand, yourself from...
I did. It was a roundabout way. So, I actually got into college because my mom wrote my college essay. And the college... It's okay. UMass knows. They contacted me, the college did, because my grades were horrible in high school. And they were like, John, your grades are terrible. But that essay you wrote, boy, we want you in our school. So I got in, immediately flunked out. And then it was when I came home and I'm living in my mom's basement, after flunking out of college that I was gifted the opportunity to do, that initially I was like, man, the world's against me.
Yeah.
And then it sort of like suddenly dawned on me that I'm in my mom's basement after flunking out of college. Then I'm like, this is mostly my fault. Right.
So you took ownership of your life and your direction, and then you found your place with these stories, these mysteries. One of your videos, I think, got over 5 million views. You posted, it's the story of the mysterious disappearance of a group of 9 Russian hikers. Take a look.
When the hikers never showed up, they sent out a search party who quickly found their campsite, and it was immediately apparent that something horrible had happened to them. All their tents had been slashed open, but from the inside, and inside the tents was all their gear, neatly folded and stacked inside the remains of the tents. No bodies, but 9 sets of footprints walking away from the camp. Using the footprints, they discovered 5 hikers who were only dressed in underwear who had died of hypothermia. They found the other 4 hikers 250 feet away in a riverbed wearing the clothes of their dead hiker friends. They had skull fractures, chest fractures, eyes, tongue, lips missing, and their bodies were radioactive. Official cause of death? Unknown compelling force.
The instant #1 on Amazon, Strange, Dark, Mysterious, the graphic stories. Why did you want this to be the next phase or the next chapter of what you're doing in this space?
Well, I mean, we started as a digital video component first. I mean, everything is YouTube and TikTok. But, you know, looking at myself as a professional storyteller, when you think about where stories are traditionally, one of those places is almost always a book. And I kind of always thought that it would be really cool to have a book, you know, once the Mr. Ballin thing took off. And so what we did is we began brainstorming what type of book we would do, and we settled on the graphic novel, largely as sort of like
heavy on the graphic. I was going to show you all the page, but I'm going to wait for a second. You got to get the book.
Yeah, it's we wanted it to have that same kind of vibe as what ultimately our fans have initially found, which is those stories like the ones you've seen. We wanted it to be kind of like a love letter to our original fans. Like, this is meant to feel like the videos on paper. So yeah, it's kind of like YouTube come to life.
It is that, and I have to ask you because, you know, this is about the headlines and you've garnered so many headlines praising the work you do. What do you see as the purpose in this?
One of the things that we did very early on when the Mr. Ballin brand began to grow is, I just said, we and our team was like, we have to have a way to literally take proceeds from these stories that are generating revenue and literally give some of that money, millions of dollars, to some of the people that are actually the victims in the stories we cover, victims of true crime, their families. Well, so if nothing else, it's to give back, I would say.
I mean, who would have thought someone who had their mom write their paper for college would find such great purpose and such a compelling way to tell these stories that impact the lives of all of us, because many of these mysteries, you think it's just that neighborhood or that place. Yeah. We're all connected by this. Well, it's weird to say congratulations on something like this, but bravo on the brilliant work that you're doing.
Thank you.
John is bringing his stories on the road in his first ever live tour. His new graphic novel, Mr. Ballin Presents Strange, Dark, and Mysterious, is available for purchase. Tam Fam, get ready. He's got you hooked in 30 seconds. You're going home with your own copy